Yeah, buddy. It is that time once again. The dive instructor and splash specialist back in your eardrums, back on your feed. Welcome to another episode of Diving Deeper Dialogues Unlimited. If you ain't got your shit right, you better get it right. Because we don't demonstrate, bitch, we penetrate. Shout out to the whole stable room fam. And we about to get into it like now.
Man, could not hear you, my brother.
For real?
I can't even hear myself. I don't know what's happening.
Dude, I don't know what it is either. Everything
is configured correctly. Hopefully the audience can still hear us.
Word.
This is so strange. Welcome to another Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited, the Dreams episode.
Yeah, and we're not talking about your hopes and aspirations because that's a whole other podcast. And in that episode, I'm going to say, fuck them. But anyway.
Right on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check out my sound settings.
No doubt.
While we are experiencing brief technical difficulties, at least as it appears on our end. Okay. Yeah, everything is configured correctly on this end. Okay. Yeah, I'm not even hearing myself like I normally do through my headphones. I don't know what.
I mean, you sound crystal clear on my
end. Wait, something I just did. Okay.
Yeah.
Everett. Must have just been on my end. Something with my little USB PreSonus here. So, all right. Yeah, so thanks for joining us, future, present, current, Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Where we don't demonstrate.
We penetrate, as in, well, you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, then listen longer.
Yes,
you'll get it.
You'll get it
for sure.
You shall get it. So what's happening, bro? We're going to talk about dreams today, right?
Yeah, buddy.
I got my little dream dictionary of dreams here from Barnes and Nobles. Just having a little fun with this, but it's not real detailed. And there's a few different aspects at least that we could approach this from. So since you made the suggestion, I would like to see where you'd like to take this.
All right. Well, I mean, for me, I have a lot of dreams. Well, I mean, everybody for sure has a lot of dreams, but there have been maybe a couple of dreams that I've had that I can remember vividly, detail by detail. And it brought me back to, bless you, it brought me back to, you know how, I don't know, like some of your elders would say, I had a dream about fish, somebody pregnant.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes dreams can actually mean things to come. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just wanted to touch on that some because I always found it interesting and figure, hey, why not? And like I said, the couple of dreams that I have had that I vividly remember, I've had these dreams that I've had I had these dreams maybe a few years ago, but I still remember them vividly. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, one of them is too specific. One of them was insightful. And then one was like, what? Huh? But funny as hell at the same time.
Right.
And then like I don't know how everybody else is, but like with me, like my dreams were like freaking channels. I'll dream about one thing 1 minute, like a whole dream, and then all of a sudden it'll be something totally different, like the channel change. It's weird to me, but that's how I dream.
Well, some studies show the data that we dream in episodes, and in these episodes, we don't always see the consistency, the common thread, and sometimes they are like you explained, like changing a channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people look at it as traveling, in different realms within what some call the astral plane. You know, but either way, they're connected to our subconscious, as scientific studies and research have connected, and oftentimes there are foreshadowings, forebodings, or even just flat out warnings,
Mm-hmm.
things that we haven't addressed within our subconscious mind, in our lower self, as some people like to refer to it. The subconscious is always running. It's like those apps on your phone.
Yeah, that you don't clear.
Yeah, they just keep running in the background.
Drain your battery.
Yeah, indeed, in real time.
Well, shit. Well, could that be some kind of correlation to the dreams that you have? That might be a considered a nightmare that drains your mental battery.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I sent you some links, Handsome Mandela, so we could just explore, like when we deal with the psychological aspect. There are some theories that Freud and Carl Jung, Calvin Hall, um, it's that link I sent you, How to Interpret Your Dreams, under a dream analysis and interpretation. Um,
Okay.
so I'm just going to read here. Let's see, I can show this to the audience just to be consistent with our normal presentation of information. You know, this isn't anything too special per se. It's something I pulled up here via Google. Cool. So Freud, the most cited psychologist of the 20th century, published The Interpretation of Dreams in 1900. This book represented a significant milestone in the field of dream interpretation. According to Freud, dreams represent a form of wish fulfillment, which is kind of what you commented on just a second ago or so.
Yeah.
And they hold the key to a person's desires. He indicated that the subject of a person's dreams stems from reality, but dreams are not identical to waking life and cannot be taken at face value. Instead, the underlying meaning of a dream is hidden in a person's unconscious mind, the thoughts and feelings that lay outside of their conscious awareness.
Mm.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, that's yeah, I can definitely vibe and agree with that. Um, but what about I'm trying to think how to word this. I mean, we just spoke on it as far as like the foreshadowings and like
Mm-hmm.
possible warnings and everything.
Indeed, indeed.
I don't know. It's like you have a dream that like you've run into someone in your past, or not even your past, but let's say maybe a loved one who is no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
in that dream, like they give you like, I mean, they're known for giving you knowledge and wisdom, but in this dream, they just say something that's just like, yo, I need to keep my eyes open on this one. Or
Mm.
keep my ears open as well, eyes and ears open on this, in case I had just so happened to hear about something.
Okay.
And I mean, that could be just like, they could be telling you as concern,
Right.
Or they could just be saying, hey, just keep your eyes open. Or the last dream I had that I remember vividly, it wasn't with a loved one, but it was with somebody who is not here anymore. And they were saying some things, and it always, you know how like you always get the bulk of the knowledge right before you wake up. So they were saying some things, and like right before I woke up, they said something that was just wild and crazy. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna have to definitely keep my eyes and ears open on this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another question about dreams. Now, could even the setting of a dream have some type of significance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, oddly enough, some people, I don't want to say they rely on me. That would be a far stretch, but they often will contact me when they have a dream that they believe is significant, whether it's leaves them with a positive feeling, or whether it leaves them with a negative feeling, or anywhere in between, but they feel like it's significant. And oftentimes I may not have had conversation with them about certain things that they're dealing with in their subconscious, or the more hidden aspect of them, things I don't ask about generally in conversation, or unless they bring it up, we don't really discuss. And oftentimes in the surroundings, or the, as you put it, the
The setting?
setting of the dream, it allows me to be able to have some insight into what exactly they've been dealing with in their thoughts, or they've been struggling with in relationships, or just certain aspects of their personal life that we may not discuss regularly. And I try not to get too specific unless I feel led. Like if I feel like the ancestors, uh, or the Holy Spirit, as some people refer to, the source, to share more light, as things are revealed to me. And then sometimes I have no clue. It's just like, man, that's a weird dream. Like, I don't know what to make of that one. And, unless something comes to me later. And sometimes that does happen. Sometimes things hit me later. Like, oh, they said they were in the gymnasium, and their principal came up. And it's not always dealing with specific people. It might be what those people represent to you. It's not always about the specific setting, but what that type of setting indicates, suggests, or represents. But definitely, I think that those aspects of dreaming are relevant. And in a lot of instances, they may be even significant. You know, uh,
Word.
Carl Jung, who was a contemporary of Freud, was greatly influenced by Freud's interpretation of dreams. But it says, as Jung matured, he sorry, it's Jung. I believe you pronounce it Jung, even though it's a J. This His thoughts on dream interpretation began to diverge from Freud's, which is good. Need some deference sometimes in order to see new light in old rooms. But Jung believed people experience different types of dreams that can be viewed through the lens of compensation. According to his theory of compensation, dreams are a mechanism that allow the unconscious mind to fully develop or balance parts that are in conflict with one another. It's very interesting. A third opinion is psychologist Calvin S. Hall. He theorized in the 1950s that dreams were images that represent a person's thoughts or ideas. Hall proposed that dreams are akin to plays, which I like this interpretation a lot too, uh, or enactments based on the ideas of a person. that they have about themselves or other people, conflicts, impulses, urges, and their external environment. Hall also suggested that dream interpretation could help a person better understand themselves and inform their behavior in daily life. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good contribution to the idea and the conversation. So it goes on. Of course, there's Dom Hoff. I don't want to leave him out. His career spanned from the 1960s to a publication called the Emergence of Dreaming in 2018, and combined the analysis of dream content with brain imaging techniques and electrocephalogram, EEG. According to Domhouse research, dreaming is similar to the daydreams most people experience in their waking life. His work suggests that dreams do not serve a specific function and are likely a byproduct of the way the brain just works. So,
And shit, some of the dreams that I had, my brain is on some other shit.
oftentimes, yeah, you know, oftentimes, think about everything that bleeds through to the subconscious, especially if you have any type of empathic ability or connection. If you're an empath, or if you are extremely introverted, but a hypersensitive, or those who have what they used to call ESP, extrasensory projection, where you can almost hear a person's thoughts magnified or projected towards you, almost as if they said it to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So imagine all those things bleeding through to the subconscious mind when you go into REM sleep, and they bleed through into your dreams, because they're things that you haven't had time to sit and process and meditate on, throughout your day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I could see that, but man, like it's the one dream I had, dude. It had to deal with compensation.
okay, monetary
And actually,
compensation, or
yeah,
compensating for something that's missing.
monetary compensation.
Okay,
And it just showed how. All right, check it. I'm gonna have to describe it to you. So check it out. I don't know where all this came. Now, mind y'all, people, this is just a dream that I had. None of this is real. Not one piece, stitch, or anything is real. Before y'all trip. So I had a dream
indeed.
that I was I was driving Floyd Mayweather around. But okay, it was me, him, one of his bodyguards, some younger woman, and a 2-year-old. But the younger woman and the 2-year-old didn't say a thing the whole time we was there, or during the dream, which I kind of thought was a little odd. But anyway, so I'm driving Floyd Mayweather around La La Land. We on High in Truesdale because he saw some dude that owed him $50. Now he got me chasing this dude. And all the money Floyd Mayweather make, he got me chasing him, and we were riding in a 1989 Silverado that's primer and blue. One panel was blue, the rest of the shit was primer. All of us riding around in this trying to chase some dude that owed him $50 because he spotted him on the east side. So we zigzagging all around trying to find dude, and then we couldn't find him. So he was like, you know what? I'm tired. Let's go to the hotel. We just gonna go to the hotel and we'll start this up tomorrow. All right, cool. Now you thinking Floyd Mayweather one of the richest sports figures in the game. And the fact that we in the Yo, he could at least spring for like the Hampton Inn, Comfort Inn, and Suite, something like that. No. We stayed at some rinky dink ass motel in Austin Town. Now, mind you, it was a regular hotel, but it was beat to all shit. Like, it didn't even have a name to it. That's how beat up it was. And I'm like, why are we coming here, Floyd? He was like, well, because the little dude told me he want to go in the hot tub. What little dude? Him right here. Floyd, he ain't said a word since we've been here. Not one. How did he tell you he wanted to go in the hot tub? Man, I just felt it subconsciously. Floyd spelled subconsciously. And he actually spelled it. All right, cool. So we go to the hotel. He asked for like a suite with a jacuzzi in it, which I'm like, yo, I'm not sleeping in there with a bunch of dudes and a female and a baby. We ain't doing that. I ain't doing that shit. So they was like, all right, the room is, it was like top floor all the way to the left. All right, cool. So we get there. Again, this is my wild, weird dreams. The hot tub is actually in the hallway and not the room. So I'm like, this a community hot tub or something? It was like, oh no, this just for us. How do you know that, Floyd? Because old girl told me that. When, Floyd, we did not leave each other's sight the whole time. I just felt subconsciously. Here we go again. You and that subconsciously. All right, whatever. So, little dude put on some swim trunks, which didn't nobody have a change of clothes. But somehow, little dude put on some swim trunks, and he was splashed around in a little tub outside. All right, cool. So the next thing I know, it's the morning time. And now we're in Atlanta.
Just switch like that, huh?
It switched like that because we found where the dude was. We found the dude in Atlanta. So we finally up on him. Corner. He can't go nowhere. So we got the car and surround him. And Floyd tell me, hey, now beat his ass for me. Floyd, you got the most lethal hands in the world right now. And you want me to fight him for you. He's like, yeah, well, I would, but I don't want a lawsuit. I'm like, dude, what about your bodyguard? Yeah, he can't fight all like that. He just big. He just big to be big. So I ended up beating the dude up, and then I woke up.
Strange. So I noticed some things. It was a sum of money, $50.
Now I'm thinking right now that could have been 50 cents.
50 cents. You right where we together. And then you said it was the East Side. I'm thinking some connection to Snoop Dogg or the East Siders that 50 Cent makes that could bring ruin to Floyd financially. And you trying to help him make it through the survival mode. And y'all end up staying in a non-existent place, which tells me like he's lost in a sense in that dream anyway.
Right.
I don't know what the connection is.
Me
being
either.
that you don't know him personally that I know of, right? Yeah, I've never crossed paths.
I do not cross paths with Floyd Mayweather before.
But that's just how strange dreams work. Like and who knows, that could be an actual not physical reality, but it could be some kind of spiritual connection there, some messaging that's telling you to I don't know, just send positive energy to that brother or whatever. There could be so many different, and it could just be you ate or drank, some smoothie that had some, I don't know, fermented fruit in it that you couldn't taste. I don't know.
This was like 2014, 2015. I wasn't drinking no damn smoothies back then, brother. It was liquor. For sure.
Got it. Got it. Enough said.
But check it though. Like this other dream I had. Now this shit This shit had me like, yo, when I woke up. All right, now, again, none of this is true. It's just a dream that I had. Now, I'm riding around Queensbridge projects. Never been. Never been before. But it was like a sunny day outside. And I'm just riding around. And I'm at the stoplight. And I happen to look over to my left. And I see Nipsey Hussle sitting on a park bench by himself, just chilling. Ain't nobody bothering him. No, he just sitting there chilling. Matter of fact, he like sitting on top to where his feet is on like the seat of the park bench. So anyway, I'm like, oh shit, there go Nip. Let me go holler at him real quick. So I'm like, hey man, what's going on? How you doing? He was like, shit, cuz, ain't nothing. Just checking out some new energy, some new frequencies up in here. All right, cool, no doubt. So we were just sitting there chopping it up about life. Nothing spectacular. But then again, like I said, before you wake up, is when you get all the knowledge. So he was like, yeah, man, you just got to watch everything because everything really ain't what it seems. I'm like, what you mean by that? He was like, you just got to watch, pay attention, and know what your worth is. I'm like, yeah, for sure, Nip. I appreciate that. I appreciate the information and inspiration. He was like, nah, cuz, you got to listen. He was like, know your worth and study your surroundings. I'm like, okay, well, why do you keep saying that? He was like, man, it's just some wild stuff that's going on. That's probably going to continue to go on. That's been going on since before we could even calculate what time is. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? He was like, well, for one, and this just came out the blue. He was like, Nefertiti did not die the way that they said that she died. Huh? He was like, yeah, she did not die the way that they said that she died. I'm like, well, how did she die? It was like, he said that somebody drowned her. Like she was killed, you know what I'm saying? Like she kept like trying to pull herself up and do everything she could, but it was like somebody drowned her. And it was like it wasn't one person. It was like a group of people. And it took all of them to do, and it took them a while to do it. But I'm like, yo, that's some wild stuff. And I woke up like, yo, did I really just dream that? You know what I'm
saying? Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's wild. Cause see, it's not that I've never dreamt about encountering a celebrity or a person of note, but I'll give you an example. One of my dreams. I dreamt that my family and I were in Cleveland, but it wasn't my entire family. It was like my mother, my father, my brother, and I. My sister wasn't with us. And it wasn't that she was absent from our lives. She just wasn't with us on that particular outing. And in this dream, we met this young lady and her grandmother. And her grandmother was her caregiver or her guardian. And it's not that she didn't have a mother. She knew her mother, and her mother, had her siblings. But I'm kind of like going outside of the dream. But nonetheless, this young lady was with her grandmother. And her grandmother greeted me a certain way when we were introduced in the dream. How about 6 months later? 6 months later, almost to the day, my brother comes home from IX Indoor Amusement Park in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
He tells me about this young lady that he met. He's telling my mother. And they exchanged information. And the young lady lived with her grandmother. And he invited the young lady to church. So the young lady had her grandmother bring her all the way to Youngstown from Medina, Ohio. That's all I'm going to say. They come to visit, they enjoyed themselves. My mother and father invited them to dinner after the church service so they could meet her. Now, this young lady was 3 years older than my brother. My brother and I are 2.5 years apart. So she was probably 5 months or so older than me. So in any event, some things were going on in her local life and with school, and of course with her natural mother. So her grandmother heard about our academy. My mother at the time was a guidance counselor for the school. So they get to talking about the young lady's situation, things she's been through, whatever, whatever. Of all unthinkable things, my parents allow her to come stay with us so that she could attend the academy. I'm already weirded out by this. But what was even more weird about this is the dream that I had. Her grandmother greeted me exactly the same way she did in the dream. And that's what sparked the fact that I had experienced this already. So the real time events were surreal for me. And I'm like, no, this isn't supposed to happen. I'm like, you know what I mean? Completely alarmed. Another time, similar experience. I have a dream that I don't know where I'm at. I just know that we're out in a rural place in this dream. And when I say we, it's like me and several individuals that I knew and two that I hadn't met yet. But they were very real to me. I don't recall seeing their faces around town growing up or anything. But in the dream, when I meet them for the first time, we start having a conversation and we all stop talking at the same time. And I point out to one individual and I say, and you're going to say, and I say what he's said next or what I heard him say next in my mind. And then he says, right. And to which I will reply. And he points at the other individual, and the other individual gives what he thinks his reply would be. And then that individual points at me and says, to which then you will laugh and say, and he says what he thinks that I would say. Now, once again, 6 months, we're all at Panda Camp, Prevention and Neutralization of Drugs and Alcohol Camp, okay? And I meet these two individuals that go to a school on the same side of town as the academy, the private school my parents had me in. And we never met. The one individual, his family was from the street where my godparents lived, which was 4 houses down from our school building. And I had never met him nor his brother. Shout out to Big Mix. Gets even stranger. So this actually occurs. The conversation goes exactly the way it did in my dream. What are the odds of that? Where we all stop and finish each other's thoughts, knowing exactly what the other one was thinking, as if we had already done this.
Right.
So skip forward. I say at that time we were roughly all about 17. I think Kendall was 16 at the time. So skip forward. I am 29 years old. So we're talking 11 years later. I get a call from my god brother. Hey, did you know so-and-so is in the hospital? I'm like, no. How is he doing? Because he had fought 2 bouts with cancer. His cancer had gone into remission twice. I said, is it the C word? He said, no, bro. He said, listen to me. The medication he was on after recovering from the C word and going into a second remission or third remission, it might have been, he said, the pills dried out his salivary gland. And you know he's a chef, right? I said, yeah. He said he aspirated on a piece of ham. It went into his lung. He has fluid in the lung now, pleurisy. They have him on a vent. He's like, I'm letting you know because they don't know if he's going to make it or not. So what's crazy was this. Prior to the conversation, no, I'm sorry, this happened after the conversation. A day later, about 24 hours later, because he called me in the evening, like late in the evening, around 11 o'clock at night. I'm dreaming. I go into this place. It's all white room. And when I say it's a white room, the room is so white that there looks like there's no floor or ceiling. Everything is just white, but people are walking and you can hear their footsteps, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I come in the room or the area, I see a casket. Everybody's crying. They're walking up to it. They're turning, comforting, and consoling each other, crying, and they're walking back. And then all of a sudden, chairs appear, but the chairs are all white too. So all you can see is the little silver legs. You know those fold out chairs.
Yeah.
Everybody sits down, and I'm finally okay. There's the seating area. I'm like, who died? I walk up to the casket. I see my main man in an all white suit with a white bow tie. I mean, everything's white on white on white. I'm like, what does this mean? He walks up to me wearing all white and looks at himself and says, why are they crying, Jay? I said, what do you mean, why are they crying, bro? Like, and how are you talking to me? I'm like, how? He said, bro, you act as if you don't already know that we're not our bodies. I said, man, you know I know that. He said, bro, so what you tripping off? What they're tripping off? I said, well, I didn't say anything. I'm sitting there having a conversation with you. I said, I didn't jump out my skin, did I? He said, you can't do that here anyway. He said, ain't nobody in their skin. He said, that's what's so funny to me. He said, yo, that's not me. I said, I get it. He said, tell my mom I'm in a better place. Tell her I'm happy now. And tell her I'm still there. Tell her I've never really left. I didn't get to see his mom. I didn't get to get back for the funeral. I tell his brother, I see his brother walking down the street. Let me tell you this part first. I'm on the east side. Something about that east side. This is in real time. I see his brother walking. I was like, last time I saw his brother, they lived on the south side. So I'm like, yo, Mix. He like, yo, Drew, what's happening, man? He's like, you back? I was like, I am for now. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, you need a ride somewhere? He's like, I only live like a block and a half from here. He's like, I'm almost there. I was like, you might as well, roll with me for a second. I was like, plus I was like, I owe you an apology. I said I couldn't make it back, for bro's, home going. And I was like, and I had a message for you and your mom. And I was like, I feel weird now, but I said, I guess it's meant now for me to share it. And I told him about the dream. I told him about the all white space. I told him about how he was like, he's like, everything you saying is congruent with how he spoke. Everything was his personality, even laughing at seeing himself in that predicament as some would see it, but knowing that it wasn't real. And the fact that everybody was walking past like the real version of him to look at the shell of him that really was no longer him and mourning over that. And so anyway, we got to this crib. He gets out. He's like, wait 1 second. He's like, I'm gonna go get mom's. Bring his mom out. I'd never met her before. So first off, I offered my condolences. I offered my apology for not being able to be there, explained to her how we were connected and how close we actually really were. And she embraced me and she started to tear up. And I said, she said, you have a message for me? I said, I also have a message for you from him. And I told her what he said, and the tears dried up. Smile got even bigger across her face, man. And she just hugged me again. And she said, I know that was him. She said, I'm good now. She said, 3 years, but I'm good now. She's like, I get it. And of course that pain never goes away of loss, because we get attached to all of that, the physicality, the spiritual presence, the energetic expression. But nonetheless, yeah, man, that's just a few, dreams that have connected me with people or with events that actually ended up occurring. I'm gonna share one more. We can move forward into like because I want to deal with this other topic that's connected to the dreaming, which is deja vu. Um,
Word.
but I was I was living in Columbus and I was working for a radio station. You remember those days, right? When I was
Oh
working.
yeah.
So I was doing I was an on-air talent at the station in Columbus. I was the odd man out. So they asked me to go, but I also was the first to be sent back from the people who were assigned to Columbus from Youngstown because I was the youngest at the time. I had no children. I had no house payment, no, you know what I mean? I didn't have any of those
Right.
ties. So, but when I came back, I went out to Smokey Joe's, as we call AKA from the Tales from the Yo episode. Check that one out from last week, y'all. Especially those from Youngstown. You know what I'm saying? Just to reminisce. RIP Shimmy. RIP Shimmy, by the way. But yo, bro, I go into Smokey Ho's. I go in by myself, dolo. So I order my traditional. I don't know if you remember, but I always got a Corona and I always got a domestic. The domestic was the throwaway. That was if I had to go upside somebody's head. You know what I'm saying? The other one was the sip on.
Indeed. Indeed.
So I'm sitting there, and this young woman comes up, introduces herself, blah blah blah. She's like, "Oh, so you don't dance?" I'm like, oh, "Okay." I was like, "I like your whole approach. Like that's your way of asking me to dance." She was like, "I don't ask dudes to do anything." I was like, "Oh, you tell them?" She was like, "Nah, I'm just saying you don't dance or what?" I was like, "You want to dance?" She was like, "There we go." I'm like, "Oh, I really like you. Okay, I get where your vibe is coming from." Like, so we dance and we talk. And as things get towards closing, we decide to go hang out. Um, Now I'm gonna skip backwards with this story. 3 months, no, sorry, a month prior, I'm in Columbus working at the station. I did the morning drive, so I had to, and I also had to power the station on remotely. So I had to use my cell phone or a landline phone at the time to call a tower, a switch, type in a number sequence or code, and it powers up the tower. The tower activates the connection with the satellite. The station comes on, and it's on autopilot until I get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a habit at the time of going out, staying out, hanging out, having a good time, feeling no pain until it was the morning. Um, I come in from kicking it one night. I remember getting undressed down to my t-shirt and my boxers. I get under the covers. I remember specifically getting under the covers. I go to sleep. Okay. In this dream sequence I have, I'm in New York. I had been in New York at this time twice, but I'd never been on the Brooklyn Bridge. I'd only seen it on television. I'd never been inside a New York taxi cab. But in this dream, a friend of mine is driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Another classmate that we graduated high school and attended junior high all the way up through high school together with, she's sitting in the back seat. A conversation is going on. The two of them get to bickering. I'm telling the driver, my friend driving, "Yo, man, we need to get off the bridge. It's not safe." He's like, "Bro, this is New York. Like, where am I going to bust a U at? We're on the bridge. We're on the Brooklyn Bridge." I look up. I see two tall buildings. And in the background of the two tall buildings, I see an iridescent sky like the one in your background right now, your virtual background.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pulsating. And as it's pulsating, I'm hearing, and I said, "What is that coming from?" And I hear a voice in my head while I'm still yet in the dream say, "The light." And I said, "Light doesn't emit a sound, does it? Unless it's inside of a bulb or something." And the voice said, light very well does give off a sound and a frequency. And I'm like, what is that? And the voice says, turn around, get off the bridge. So I say to my friend again that's driving, can you stop bickering with her and get off this bridge? Go around people, whatever you got to do, bro. I was like, it's something wrong. I said, look at the sky. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know what to do, though. What can I do? I said, turn around. He said, I can't get off the bridge to turn around. I can't. There's nowhere to bust at you. I said, I don't care, man. Whatever we got to do, we got to turn around. So as we get closer to the end of the bridge, the sky pulsates super strong. And the light gets brighter purple. Notice that color, brighter purple. And then all of a sudden, I hear a voice say, wake up. It's time to wake up. Wake up. 3 times. I open my eyes. I'm laying on my face across the top of the bed in my my executive suite that the station had me put up in. And I'm looking directly at my clock. And the alarm goes right off as soon as I focus on the clock. I get up. I call the station because I feel like I'm running late at this point. I power up the station remotely from the hotel phone. I grab my clothes, my cell phone. I get dressed. I head out the door. Skip back in Youngstown. Meet the young lady. We hang out 3 days. We just talking. No action going down. You know, not to get too personal in my past life or escapades. We decide, okay, we hit it off conversationally for 3 days. We've been in each other's presence consistently without any physical contact of any sort. We like, let's go to the clinic. We do the whole clinic thing. Everybody checks out. Both people check out. We're good. Okay, fine. We start spending even more days together, right? At the time, I also had a Sky pager. This is before they phased them out.
1-800-729-7243 plus the PIN number.
Oh, if you get 304, you know what it is. No. So
right on.
So early in the morning, I get a page. Now, the dream I had, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. The dream I had that I shared was in June. This is in September when the young lady meet. So we're talking about September the 11th. 6 in the morning. My pager goes off. It's my mom from home. I call the voicemail first. She's in tears. And I'm talking about, when I say in tears, I'm talking about it sound like somebody was either holding her at gunpoint and making her call me to give a message, or somebody really, really, really close to all of us is no longer with us. So my heart drops into my stomach. I don't even want to call, but it's mom.
Right.
I call her. Hey, mom, what's happening? What's going on? Who died? That's how I just come out. Who died? She said, it's too horrible to speak of. I said, what? I said, more than one person died? She said, turn on the news right now. Now, once again, she is bawling. She's in tears. I turn on the television. I see the second plane hit the tower.
Bam.
I said, this can't be real. What the fuck is this? Sorry for cussing mom. Sorry for cussing mom. That's one of the only few people I apologize when I let it loose. But she's like, I can't even focus on that. She said, this is beyond horrible. And I said, remember the dream I told you about? She said, that's right. You dreamt this in June. I said, when I was in Columbus. She said, I remember now. She said, what are we going to do? I said, depending on what you're referring to and what is there to do. Next thing you know, the Pentagon's hit. Boom. Somerset, Pennsylvania on the way to Camp David. Boom. So, point being is, I dreamt that, but it was only 90 days out, literally, from the date. I didn't understand. I had no idea. All I knew was the dream was telling me to turn around. Not just me, but us, whoever was in the vehicle. The direction we were headed was wrong. I saw the towers. I just thought they were two tall buildings. I had never saw the Twin Towers in New York. I had heard of them, but I never looked at a picture. I never paid attention. Didn't care.
Right.
No, I didn't know what it was. But the purple sky, I flashed to 2000 parties over. Oops. He said the sky was turning purple. There was people running everywhere. Right? Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, man. So I was like, all of those messages were seeped into my subconscious, but some source, some force was trying to warn me. And maybe not just me, but like I said at the time, my mind was on me time.
Oh, of course.
And so I didn't connect it. But yeah, that's a whole nother show. What happened after that? They put out the orange alert. They told everybody to stay in the house. If you work in media and what was it? If you work in media, and there was a few other professions, they said don't go into your place of work. I went in anyway. Went to that 13th floor. My cousin was the news director at the same station. So she calls me into the studio. She says, lock the door. I'm freaked out. Like, why? She said, I got to show you something. I have to have at least one witness. Went to the CNN website, posted at 9:10 on 9:10 was an archive recording of what was later to be the broadcast of the first plane hitting the first tower. It was recorded the night before. Y'all don't have to believe me. And don't go checking on the website because they've scrubbed it by now. But,
Crucial.
She and I saw it. I don't know who else might have. But maybe I shouldn't even admitted that on here. But oh, well. But yeah, man, your dreams sometimes are telling you very literal things. There are people who dream literally. There are people who dream lucidly. And lucid dreaming can be good or bad. And even the root cause of your lucid dreaming could be good or bad. There are people who are on social media now speaking about intending to practice lucid dreaming. I don't know if those people really know what they're in for or what they expect to gain from it. I just wish them Godspeed and good luck in that particular activation. My lucid dreams, I couldn't tell you the source. I couldn't tell you if it was something that I was eating regularly. I couldn't tell you if it's the thoughts I was keeping, seeping into my subconscious. But all I know is like I've had several dreams that literally happened almost exactly to the T the way that I've had them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm not the only one in my family. It runs pretty heavy.
Nah, you know what? That happens to me, not in a dream state, but more so if there's somebody who I haven't seen or been in contact with for a while, and that person comes up in my mind, I guarantee by within a month, something with them will connect back to me. It's wild. Every time, dude. Every time.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Same here. Or sometimes even our thoughts, I think, can be more powerful in a sense than our dream cycles. There's several times where, like you said, someone I haven't seen, been in contact with, spoken with in quite some time will as people say, cross my mind, almost as if they just walk into your thoughts, and then the phone rings and it's them, or it's about them, or someone very close to them also.
Right.
Like, yeah, we just talked about you. Like, oh, y'all were talking about me? Yeah, bro. Like, we were just having a conversation and you came up in the conversation and they asked me how you was doing. I told them I hadn't spoken to you in a minute. And I hope you don't mind. I gave them your number or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just,
Right.
but, and people talk about how those things are connected with manifesting. I think our dreams also are connected with manifesting. Um, the power of manifesting because they deal with our desire, and desire is greater than want. Want is linked to lack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, even in my
Mhm.
conversation, I've been trying to re-alchemize and organize my thoughts and words and expression outwardly to align with my intent and my desires as opposed to my fears and my sense of lack of certain things, you know.
Right.
But yeah, um, another common thing that people misconstrue about dreaming is deja vu, and there's another what do you call it? Another concept within the realm of dreaming or experiences that I wanted to just touch on. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's often misconstrued as deja vu, and I want to say it's pronounced jamais vu. Are you familiar at
I
all?
am not. I mean, I've heard the term before, but I'm not familiar as to what it. I thought it was just somebody trying to spit some game to somebody on some
Ah,
realness.
so here we go. Jamais vu is not deja vu. It's quite the opposite. So, key takeaways: jamais vu is a psychological phenomenon characterized by the feeling of unfamiliarity with a familiar situation or object, unlike deja vu, which involves feeling like something is familiar when it shouldn't be. Jamais vu involves feeling like something should be familiar but isn't. This phenomenon may be linked to fatigue, stress, or neurological conditions. You ever talked to a friend and suddenly, yet briefly, their face seemed unfamiliar, or stepped into a room, yet frequently it feels strangely foreign? Or maybe you stared at a word, but I'm sorry, and you know what it means, but it just doesn't look right. So you've likely experienced a phenomenon known as jamais vu. Don't worry, it's nothing to be concerned about. Um, so yeah, this is French for never seen, and déjà vu, of course, is French for already seen. So these
Hmm.
two experiences, those who have experienced jamais vu may mistake it for short-term memory loss, but it's entirely different. Chris Mullen, PhD, a memory researcher at the Laboratory of Psychology and Neurocognition at the University of Grenoble Alpes in France, and one of the most foremost experts on jamais vu, deja vu, and the like. He says, in memory loss, someone will appear unfamiliar to us, even if we have met them recently, because we have forgotten some crucial piece of information. He says in an email, jamais vu, on the other hand, is the feeling of unfamiliarity for something which is not lost or forgotten. So, uh, I wonder what this is. So, I have dreamt of being in my grandmother's house, in another town in Ohio that I used to visit on only on certain holidays and only during certain parts of the year. And my dad inherited the house, but he had, of course, to sell it off to probate to settle her estate. But when I would dream of this house, and I had never been in every room in the house, I won't even pretend. I had never been in the basement of that house. But the house was so large and it looked sort of regular from the outside, but the house was so large that it had a front porch large enough to fit a swing, a porch, a couch sofa swing. Um, there was not a front sitting room, but when you entered into the front door, there was a foyer The stairwell was to the left, and everything was not cramped. It was very spaced out. And then about 4 or 5 steps in, you look to the left, and there was a living room or a sitting room, parlor, as people in Boston, a parlor, right, call it. And then straight ahead from that point, you could enter into a dining room area where she had several large curio cabinets with fine china and silver and all. And then to the left of that dining room, there was a den, which was equally spacious as the front living room. You go back into the dining room area, and straight away was the kitchen, which had was large enough to fit a full sized uh, breakfast table, not just a nook. And then off of that was a bathroom to the immediate left. Back into the kitchen, you go past the refrigerator, and there was uh, another room where she kept an additional refrigerator, of course, a freezer, uh, you know, and a pantry. It was like a full stock pantry. Go back through the kitchen and off to the right, you had a whole nother addition to the house that was added on, where she had a salon where she did hair.
Mm.
So now I've been in all of those rooms, but I'd never been when you go back through the kitchen, back into the dining room area. There was another door which led to a stairwell going down below the house, which was the basement or the cellar. And then if you came back up those stairs, back through the dining room area, through the foyer, and up to the left at this point, up the stairwell, there was the upstairs, of course. And there were 3 bedrooms up there. And then I believe there was an additional attic or room that she maybe used to rent out at one point in time to boarders. So this was a pretty sizable house, and I had not been in every single room, but in this particular set of dreams that I had, the house kept growing. Almost like the Winchester Mansion or something like that. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Rose Red. You ever seen the Rose Red by Stephen King? Where the house
Mm-hmm.
seems to have, like, you go into an area where there was nothing built, but it just like builds itself. And all of a sudden you're in another room or another section of the house. And this kept happening. And then there was this one particular room in the dream sequence, both times, that there was a Victrola. One of those big Victrola record players with the shell.
Yeah.
And there was also a jukebox. So I would always choose the jukebox, but for some reason, each dream, the Victrola was already playing a song. So I would go into the center of the room, hit a number or a selection on the jukebox, and the house would remain the same, but the decor would change based upon the year that the song that I selected came out.
Mm.
And everything on the outside would be like time adjusted. You get what I'm saying?
I've had dreams like that.
Yeah. I'm glad to know that, because I didn't know that. I thought, man, I said, man, who can explain this to me? Because
Oh,
I
shoot.
started coming up with ideas of unfinished business, feeling like there was a lack of closure in a relationship, because my grandma, she had dementia. Ultimately, that's what caused her to have to leave her house and then go into the nursing home. And at the same time, my aunt, my dad's older sister, she was sick, battling cancer. She ended up passing before my grandmother 3 months earlier, while she was trying to help take care of her. But it just, anyway, it was just the strangest thing. One of the dreams where there was a laboratory in her house,
Mm.
and they were all scientists of color. And then there were like people that were almost like zombies that the scientists were trying to like reanimate. And 2 of them seemingly like were trying to confront me. But once I stopped to see what they really wanted, they were giving me messages. They were ancestors of mine. They even told me how we were related. And I've never met these people by those names at all. I haven't even checked with the family to see if those are actual names. You know what I mean?
Right.
But just things like that within those dream sequences, just those 2 times that I've had that dream. Freaky, man. Both dreams, there was an elevator in the house. The elevator didn't just travel up from floor to floor. It actually went sideways and it expanded the house into rooms that were not perceivable and would open up to those areas like the laboratory. Uh, but yeah, very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
And in both dreams, there were unfinished parts of the house. And they really weren't unfinished, meaning the construction was never complete. It was like parts of the house were eroding, but weren't affecting the other parts of the house that were still intact and in complete working order and still in ornate, beautiful condition. It was like, how could these be a part of the same structure?
Right.
Like roof missing in certain parts, birds sitting in the rafters in certain parts of the house, but then in the other portion of the room, the roof is still intact. There's no leaks. There's still furniture. The furniture is not dry rot or soaking wet. It was just things like that,
That's wild.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, buddy. I don't know, man. Dreams is a motherfucker. You feel me?
Yeah. I'll tell you a good film to watch that deals with dreams, but not in the way that we're speaking per se. What Dreams May Come. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robin Williams. I don't know if you ever saw that flick, but if you haven't, check it out.
No doubt. We'll definitely do that.
Sleepwalkers, Flatliners. There's a bunch of them that not just suspenseful and for the scare factor of the content, but they just take you into the different realms of dreaming that people experience. And yeah, man, how they connect to our waking hours.
Right.
Some say that when we are awake, we're truly dreaming, and when we are asleep, we're truly awake.
It's a possibility. I don't dispute that.
I don't dispute that either. It would connect directly to the whole theory of us being in a simulation that's within a simulation that's within a simulation.
Yeah.
And also why it's difficult at times to tell what's real. And we're so quick to tell somebody, you're crazy. Well, if you're crazy, what's that? If I'm crazy, what's that make you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe we're all crazy together, or maybe we're not crazy at all. And that's just a part of the construct of the simulation within the simulation within the simulation.
Right. For sure. Definitely on that.
But yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. Like, share, subscribe. I should have said it much earlier. Join us on our locals.com through the Rumble platform. Deeper Dives UNL. I want to say at locals.com. You can donate. You can join the community. You can give your feedback, leave comments. You can add your own content and share it with us. Whatever it is you like to do. But thank you so much for your support. Those of you who've tuned in, thank you to our new subscribers. We're trying to grow those subscribers from 71 to at least 75 this week. Help us reach that. It's been a long time coming. The viewership is up, and if you want to donate, there's a way you can donate through our Cash App. We promise to support our own show, so our investment is going to be first in, helping bring you more aesthetically pleasing and educational, entertaining content. Anything you want to share before we sign off, my brother?
I mean, just to add on to what you were saying, we everywhere, so you cannot not find us.
Indeed.
So look.
L-O-O-K, right? L-O-O-K.
That part, look.
We don't demonstrate, we penetrate deeply.
Exactly.
Gonna take you higher. Anyway, thanks for joining us, y'all. It's been real. We've enjoyed the experience as always.
Indeed.
See you next week.
Peace.